and eventually it will overflow that fluid onto the clutch, which of course would be a major and expensive repair. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Rolling Hills Farm. Dave here. Well, you can tell by my clothes and my rifle, it's deer hunting season. We're taking a few weeks off now to do a little deer hunting, but we've recorded a couple of videos earlier this fall that we'll be playing while we're out enjoying the beautiful fall and the great family tradition of hunting. We'll be back with a whole lot more Rolling Hills Farm after hunting season. We hope you'll be back to watch us. In the meantime, enjoy these videos from earlier this fall. See you later. Well, this morning's project is a relatively easy one. An oil change on the 1970s Oliver. It's due. Oil filter, hydraulic filter, and the wonderful thing about working on a tractor of this vintage is oil changes just aren't a big deal. No computers. You really just drain out the fluids and put in new filters and you're ready to go. See that little drain right there? Really important to drain this fuel filter until there's clean fuel coming out to eliminate all the moisture buildup in the tank from the hot, cold. All right, just a classic old open-end wrench and a bucket. Well, some on the floor. While that oil's draining, I'm going to pull this filter. The filter is in this big canister on the side. There, the oil filter is this old sock thing. There, that gasket's got to come out of there. You see, there's a new one right there with a new filter. I'm going to clean all this out of here before I put the new filter back in. The filter goes right back in here. There, you want to make sure this is all seated right along there. And then once we fill it up and start it, we want to check that for leaks. Oh, don't forget to put the plug back in before you start dumping oil. So I'm a big fan of putting oil right in to the crankcase before I start on any of the other procedures with this oil change, so I don't forget. They're running just to get that oil pressure up and make sure that oil filter's not leaking. While you're at it, you need to check the fluid level on your over-under shift. You see I've changed the filter back there. It's like transmission fluid. In fact, it is Dextron transmission fluid. And you see it's full. All right, here's the hydraulic filter. Little gaskets. It's different, metal wrapped. I'm going to set that right there. Another giant open-end wrench, and we're going to get this off. One caution here, make sure you've got the 3-point hitch arms, and if you have a loader, we don't. That's all got to be down or you'll dump a lot more fluid. But I'm going to lose fluid no matter what. Oh, boy. One more caution. You see that little yellow plug right there in the drain pan where I'm about to dump all that fluid? Well, you need to pull that little yellow plug out, because otherwise the pan only holds about a gallon and you're going to dump about 3 gallons of fluid on top of it and all over yourself and all over the floor. And then you're going to panic because the fluid's not going away, and you're going to try to figure out a way to stop the fluid from flowing, which of course you can't because it's just dumping out all over. And by the time you get the filter back in there, you've dumped about 3 gallons on the floor. There, hydraulic fluid filter changed. Now I've just got to fill up the hydraulic filter because, as you can see, it pretty much filled up my container. Quite a bit comes out. I had to bring a second bucket over, and there's a little bit in there, I guess. Quite a bit comes out when you pull this. There's no real shutoff that I'm aware of. So I'm going to fill it up and, my hat's crooked. I'm going to fill it up and start it and make sure that hydraulic is up and not leaking. So aside from greasing, checking the radiator, standard things, the last important thing is to clean these air filters. With the Oliver, it's right up here. Oh yeah, it's filthy. I'll blow it out. And there's the differential, the final drive fluid. And you check right there. You fill it right there. And here is where we found our nasty surprise. Turns out, in checking the level of the differential, it was over full. In fact, we drained out more than a gallon of fluid. So our dealer says it's likely hydraulic fluid leaking from up in here, this reservoir, down into the differential and filling up the differential down here. And that is a serious problem, because if not fixed, the fluid will continue to flood from the hydraulic down into the differential, and eventually it will overflow that fluid onto the clutch and ruin the clutch, which of course would be a major and expensive repair. So this tractor had a full engine rebuild in 2002, and at that time a new clutch was put in. And although it's had some hours put on by us mowing and baling, for the last 12 years, it's basically just been a backup tractor doing a little tillage and hay raking. Really hasn't been worked that hard. So there should be no serious wear on that clutch. And frankly, I'm not excited about the possibility of putting a clutch in a tractor that really function as our emergency backup tractor. So I broke out the old IT repair manual, and sure enough, transfer of hydraulic oil to transmission could be caused by the hydraulic pump seal or faulty PTO seals. It explains pretty clearly procedures to check for the leakage, and then of course how to do a system adjustment. But the first question obviously is, how much is it leaking? We had the hydraulic pump rebuilt a couple of years ago. The pump itself was rebuilt and the seals were replaced going into the side of the transmission. So it's unlikely that that's the source of the leakage. But of course, we'll have to think about that first. Apparently there's a seal back in here somewhere that can allow the hydraulic fluid to come down. The initial repair involves pulling this power takeoff shaft out of here. I've got to look into that and see if that's the problem. So the dealer has advised us to just monitor the leak. We're not sure how long that had been dripping down there and if it's enough to really be a serious issue. So you can see we've got it put away here for the winter, and we won't really be able to determine the extent of the problem until we start using it next spring and we see how much the hydraulic fluid goes down and how much the differential goes up. So I guess we're stuck in the position of just monitoring this tractor. You can see we've got it put away here for the winter, and we'll test it next spring, and we may be doing at least some kind of a procedure, pulling out that PTO next summer. We'll let you know. Thanks for watching. We'll be back at the Oliver next summer.